Hello and welcome to Modelling Misadventures. Now remember this, in the last video I tried to take part of this little tiny FAB 1 and scale it up into this. Now this was the front wing and I scaled this up so that it would be the right size for the wheels and tyres that I'd ordered off AliExpress. Now there were a few problems with these parts here that I printed. One is they weren't thick enough to be the right scale. Second, the top was very square and it's meant to be rounded in FAB 1. And three, when you printed this to the right thickness, the wheels and tyres were going to be far too inset for a realistic appearance. So I redesigned this part here and printed it a lot thicker. And I put an indentation in here so that the wheels would fit in there and be closer to the edge. But we still have the problem that this is very square, and I thought initially I'd try and sand it down. And you can see here, you can sand this, but this was going to take absolutely ages to sand off. So that was another failed idea. So I did some more work on Tinkercad and I managed to figure out how to put a curved edge onto the top of that piece like that. So that's the side door. And I've had a go at trying to get a curve on the other pieces in the front and back of the car. And I'll show you how I got on with that. Now here you can see what I've done with the front wing. Now I would dread for any computer-aided design people to be watching this because this is truly horrific. This is what I was able to achieve on Tinkercad. I don't know if you can do better than this on Tinkercad, but this is as far as I could get. I was able to get a nice curve here on the flat section, but as the bonnet started to tilt down, I had to put little sections of curves on here and you can see it's very messy. But that I will be able to sand down. But this goes against all the principles of computer design and 3D printing. This is just my old-fashioned modelling coming into play here where you sand things to shape and that's what I'm going to try on here. So I don't know what this is going to look like when we put all this side together. I'm going to print off the parts like this, put them together, try and sand them down, and we'll see what we end up with. So I printed out all the parts for this side panel. That was the one that I just showed you, and then I've got the rest of the front wing here, which goes in there like that, and that curves a lot better along there. And then we've got the door, and then at the back we've got the rear wheel arch, and again it's got some pretty shoddy computer design to try and get this curve. And then the final section here, which I tried to get a little bit of a rounded edge right over the top like that. It's a bit rough and ready, but I'm going to line it all up and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, there it is from that side. It looks a bit like FAB 1, doesn't it? But if you look at it from the top, you can see that there's a bit of work to do there at the front. And then as we go to the back, there's a bit of work to do there at the back. So, time to do a bit of sanding and see how this looks. Right, I'm going to have a go at sanding these rough edges off and see if I can get it into more of a curve. Well, that's what it looks like after a first go with the Dremel. It's a bit rough, but you can see it's getting a bit smoother. Quite happy with that so far. So this is how that's looking after the first bit of rough sanding. This has only been done with the Dremel tool, the automatic sander, and 80 grit paper, but it starts to give you an idea of what this might look like. So I think that's going to be pretty good, isn't it? So I'm very happy with how that is looking. And that's where I'm going to call it a day in this video. In the next video, I'm going to print out the rest of the body parts and see how the whole thing looks when it's put together. But for now, I'll say goodbye and I'll see you next time on Modelling Misadventures.